Unit 7. Gratify.
を喜ばせる、満足させる。
I was gratified to hear that he agreed with me. Resent.
に憤慨する。
Ms. Hill resented his thoughtless words. Bungle.
をしくじる。
The police bungled the investigation of the crime. Fringe.
へり、縁。
The laboratory is located on the fringe of a forested area. Rancid.
油、バターなどが悪臭のする、鼻をつく。
The butter went rancid in a few days. Spoof.
パロディ、もじり。
The movie was a spoof of Star Wars. Rueful.
悲しそうな。
He had a rueful smile on his face. Flinch.
たじろぐ、尻込みする。
She flinched at the sound of the door slamming. Irrational.
不合理な、馬鹿げた。
Let's stop this irrational argument. Elated.
有頂天の、大得意の。
They were elated at the birth of their first child. Emancipate.
人、精神などを解放する。
The slaves were emancipated by the revolution. Prowl.
動物が獲物を求めてうろつく、徘徊する。
The cat was prowling around in search of mice.
Nebulous.
漠然とした曖昧な。
At first, the plan was pretty nebulous. Arrears.
滞納未払い金。
His rent is 10 days in arrears. Maneuver.
を操作する、操縦する。
A boy is maneuvering a toy boat using a remote control. Garrulous.
おしゃべりな。
After she drank a few glasses of wine, she became garrulous. Hallucinate.
幻覚を起こす。
The patient seemed to be hallucinating at that time. Stampede.
どっと押し寄せる、殺到する。
A herd of buffalo is stampeding across the plains. Enigmatic.
不思議な、謎めいた。
She approached me with an enigmatic smile. Famished.
腹ペコの、飢えた。
They were absolutely famished by lunchtime. Dilate.
体の器官が広がる、拡張する。
He was looking at the scene with eyes dilated and mouth open. Swab.
モップで、お掃除する。
He was swabbing the wooden floor. Lubricate.
に、潤滑油を刺す。
She lubricates the motorcycle chain every 3 months. Chide.
お叱る、非難する。
The teacher chided students for their lack of effort.
Attrition.
自然減。
The company cut about 200 employees through attrition and layoffs. Acquiesce.
黙認する、不本意ながら同意する。
The father acquiesced in the removal of the children. Ammunition.
弾薬
The soldiers ran out of ammunition during the battle. Enthrall.
を魅了する、夢中にさせる。
His show enthralled the audience with his dynamic dance. Romp.
ドタバタ劇
They are performing a comical romp at the theater now. Auxiliary.
補助の
The hospital is now recruiting auxiliary staff. Desultory.
取り留めのない散漫な
For a few moments we talked in a desultory manner. Condiment.
薬味香辛料
Condiments are used to enhance flavor. Trounce.
を完全に任す
Our team was trounced 10-2 in the last game. Gripe.
不平愚痴
My only gripe with this smartphone is the size of the screen. Uncanny.
奇妙な不思議な
The man has an uncanny resemblance to my cousin. Lag.
遅れる
Supply has lagged behind demand.
Luster.
光沢艶
Shakespeare's works never lose their luster. Tether.
動物をつなぐ
She tethered her horse to a pole. Chunky.
分厚い重厚な
He wore a chunky sweater and looked chic. Segregate.
を分離する
The room was segregated into smoking and non-smoking areas. Slur.
誹謗中傷
We regard this remark as a slur on our humanity. Goad.
をイライラさせる煽り立てる
He was goaded into losing his temper during the debates. Bereaved.
先立たれた後に残された
The company announced they would compensate the bereaved family. Entwine.
を絡ませる
A young couple were walking on the street with their arms entwined. Anomaly.
例外異例
They are aiming at removing anomalies in the tax system. Strife.
衝突紛争
The political instability in the country was caused by ethnic strife. Scrounge.
をせびるただでもらう
He often scrounges money from his parents and friends. Cordial.
心からの友好的な
The two countries maintain a cordial relationship.
Quadruple.
4倍になる
Visitors to the zoo have quadrupled in the last 5 years. Numb.
麻痺した、
My fingers were numb working with cold water. Tumble.
転ぶ、
I lost my balance and tumbled forward. Molecule.
分子、
Each molecule of ozone has 3 atoms of oxygen. Expel.
匂い、空気などを排出する、
This device filters harmful substances from the expelled air. Entail.
を伴う、
A large investment entails some risk. Contend.
を強く主張する、
The lawyer contended that he was innocent of the crime. Graffiti.
落書き、
The wall was sprayed with graffiti. Clutter.
混乱した状態、乱雑、
We tend to get lost in the clutter of information. Endorse.
を承認する、
The committee endorsed the proposals. Incite.
感情などを引き起こす、
The report incited fear among the public. Chaotic.
混沌とした、
The situation remains chaotic.
Irrelevant.
関連のない、
That evidence is irrelevant to the case. Blurt.
を出し抜けに言う、うっかり口にする、
He almost blurted out that he loved her. Infighting.
うちはもめ、
The discussion has made little progress because of the parties' infighting. Dispensable.
なくても済む、
A smartphone seems to be dispensable for me. Wrestle.
困難、問題などに取り組む、
The financial authorities are wrestling with the issue of deflation at present. Obscure.
不明瞭な、はっきりしない、
There was nothing obscure in what he was saying. Embryo.
胎児、
This drug is said to pose potential risks to embryos. Impair.
能力などを弱める、損なう、
Alcohol impairs our quick judgment. Simultaneous.
同時の、
She has been a simultaneous interpreter for 10 years. Restoration.
修復、
The wall paintings are currently under restoration. Prestige.
名声、威信、
The campaign helps the company increase its prestige. Adrift.
漂流してさまよって、
The sailboat was adrift in the Pacific Ocean for 10 days.
Pawn.
を七に入れる、
The man pawned his watch to pay his son's debts. Lunar.
月の、
The satellite is exploring the lunar orbit. Decay.
腐る、朽ちる、
The wooden bridge has totally decayed. Sidestep.
問題などを避ける、
The report sidestepped the religious issue. Discontent.
不満、不平、
There was widespread discontent among the staff about low wages. Bizarre.
奇妙な、
I've never heard such a bizarre story. Intrusive.
押し付けがましい、出しゃばりの、
They are developing lighter and less intrusive products. Reimburse.
人に費用を返済する、
The company reimburses the employees for the cost of seminars. Vandalism.
文化、芸術などの破壊行為、
The monument was destroyed by vandalism. Parameter.
限界、条件、
We have to work within the parameters of the budget. Ignominious.
不名誉な、
They suffered an ignominious defeat against a lower-ranking team. Surpass.
に勝る、を超える、
This film far surpasses the original novel.
Mimicry.
模倣、真似、
The boy was doing mimicry of famous actors. Demographic.
人口統計の、人口の、
He has conducted demographic research in the area. Stern.
厳格な、厳しい、
She was brought up by her stern father. Instability.
不安定さ、
Rising prices of basic foods could lead to political instability. Diversion.
進路、用途などの転換、
The aim of the diversion of the river is to prevent floods. Deputy.
代理官、副官、
He has served as the president's deputy. Artifact.
人工遺物、
The museum features various artifacts from ancient Greece. Sanitation.
公衆衛生
Poor sanitation increased the spread of the disease. Commence.
を始める、
She quit the company and commenced her own business. Compile.
本などをまとめる、編集する、
The document was compiled by a city officer. Turnover.
転職率、
A high turnover of employees has become a problem in the industries. Lousy.
お粗末な、ひどい、
The service at the restaurant was lousy.
Indelible.
消すことのできない、
His works left an indelible mark on the history of music. Adolescent.
青年期の、思春期の、
She spent most of her adolescent years abroad. Reversal.
逆転、反転、
The mayor made a reversal of the decision on the issue. Diminutive.
小さい、小型の、
That diminutive woman is his wife. Phonetic.
音声の
This table shows a list of phonetic symbols. Eerie.
不気味な
The wind is making eerie noises. Chronicle.
を年代記に載せる
This book chronicles the events during World War II. Erupt.
噴火する暴動などが勃発する
The volcano has erupted twice this year. Grasp.
を理解する
She found it difficult to grasp the meaning of the poem. Proclaim.
を宣言する
The country proclaimed itself independent. Prevalence.
普及率
Smoking prevalence has fallen among young people. Tremendous.
非常に大きい
This measure enables us to save a tremendous amount of money.
Duplicate.
を複製する
You are not allowed to duplicate this CD. Preferential.
優先の
They give their regular customers preferential treatment at that shop. Proceed.
に先行する
A reception preceded the summit meeting. Respiratory.
呼吸の
This disease affects the respiratory system. Philanthropy.
慈善事業
After retirement, he started his philanthropy. Cerebral.
知的な
Chess is a cerebral game. Cipher.
暗号
The secret message was written in cipher. Pollination.
受粉
Bees are necessary for pollination of various crops. Swerve.
急にハンドルを切る
He suddenly swerved to avoid a cat. Oversight.
監視
The company performs a strict oversight of investment. Fertility.
受精能力
The fertility rate of the country has been relatively stable. Potent.
よく聞く強力な
She played a potent role in developing the product.
Elongate.
を長くする
She wore high heels to elongate her legs. Paragon.
模範手本
The country has been considered to be the paragon of the welfare state. Pervade.
と全体に広がる
A feeling of happiness pervaded my heart. Premise.
前提
His argument is based on the false premise. Forgery.
偽造物贋作
The painting was later found to be a forgery. Loom.
迫り来る
This report shows the looming food crisis. Loot.
場所などから略奪する
Some demonstrators began to loot the stores. Coffer.
財源
The iron industry has supported the country's government coffers. Mitigate.
を和らげる緩和する
We should take action to mitigate environmental damage. Decent.
良いきちんとした
I have been in pretty decent shape for 10 years. Pendulum.
振り子
The pendulum stopped swinging a few years ago. Chant.
を唱える
The demonstrators chanted slogans against the war.
Naive.
単純なうぶな
It is naive to believe everything on the internet. Deference.
服従
They were awakened to the danger of deference to authority. Abruptly.
突然不意に
She stood abruptly and left the room. Evaporate.
を蒸発させる
The sun's heat evaporates water from oceans, lakes, rivers, etc. Ambiguous.
曖昧な
His testimony was ambiguous and lacked details. Spawn.
を引き起こす
Her theory spawned a debate in the scientific world. Stale.
陳腐な
We were completely tired of his stale jokes. Monarch.
君主
He became monarch at the age of 15. Laureate.
受賞者
Samuelson is the first American Nobel laureate in economics. Unprecedented.
前例のない
The country now faces an unprecedented fiscal crisis. Stationary.
動かない固定された
The price of the product has remained stationary. Bribery.
贈収賄
He is suspected to be involved in the bribery case.
Tranquil.
場所などが静かな平穏な
I grew up in a small tranquil village. Ponder.
を熟考する
He is pondering the meaning of life. Juvenile.
青少年の
The number of juvenile crimes has dramatically decreased. Implicate.
人を巻き込む関係させる
We were implicated in a scandal. Demote.
を降格させる
The director was demoted to assistant for the failure. Delectable.
おいしい
I woke up to a delectable smell of coffee. Fragility.
脆さ虚弱さ
The teacher talked to her students about the fragility of life. Rubbish.
ゴミ
Recycling is a good way to reduce the amount of rubbish. Exert.
権力などを行使する
He exerted pressure on the group. Hinder.
を妨げる妨害する
The long distance between them did not hinder their love. Infectious.
病気が伝染性の
Infectious diseases have spread over the region. Eligible.
資格のある
People over 60 are eligible for this benefit.
Linger.
後に残る長居する
Many students lingered after class to talk with the teacher. Lurk.
潜む
The boys found a snake lurking in the grass. Plunge.
価値などが急落する
The number of road accidents in the city plunged last year. Demolition.
破壊取り壊し
They carried out the demolition of the old building. Speculation.
推測
There has been much speculation about his death. Vulgar.
そやな下品な
His joke was so vulgar that no one laughed. Bountiful.
豊かな
We enjoyed a bountiful harvest of rice last year. Gulp.
おガツガツ食べるガブガブ飲む
Don't gulp your food and chew thoroughly before swallowing. De facto.
事実上の
The city became the de facto financial center of the world. Fatality.
死亡者数
Fortunately, there were no fatalities in this incident. Stalemate.
行き詰まり膠着状態
The peace talks reached a stalemate after months of negotiations. Notoriously.
悪名高く
The weather in England is notoriously bad.
Expulsion.
排除追放
Expulsion of minorities is taking place in that country. Leeway.
自由裁量
He was given maximum leeway in order to complete his task. Hallmark.
特徴特質
This is thought to be a hallmark of organized crime. Nominal.
価格などが名ばかりのわずかな
There is a nominal charge for the delivery. Qualm.
良心の呵責
I felt some qualms about accepting the money. Apathy.
無関心
The younger generation's apathy towards politics is growing. Weary.
疲れた飽き飽きした
I was too weary to walk another step. Amid.
のただ中で
The minister resigned amid widespread criticism. Ordeal.
厳しい試練
They survived their terrible ordeal. Transaction.
取引
Accepting this transaction is risky. Intimidate.
お脅迫する脅す
The government has said that it will not be intimidated by terrorists. Criterion.
標準基準
Applicants must meet all of the criteria listed below.
Den.
巣穴
The children found a den of an animal during the hike. Weather.
を無事に切り抜ける
The company managed to weather the difficult situation. Simmer.
暴力怒りなどが今にも爆発しそうである
Tensions are simmering between the management and the union. Wreckage.
残骸
A survivor was found in the wreckage. Impersonal.
人間味のない機械的な
She found the city rather impersonal. Parch.
を干上がらせる
This plant grows even in the parched ground. Spur.
を駆り立てる
The prize she won spurred her to work harder. Coma.
昏睡
She is still in a coma. Viable.
実行可能な
This project is not economically viable. Epidemic.
流行伝染病
The school classes were closed due to the flu epidemic. Rally.
大規模な集会
A lot of students attended the anti-war rally. Returnee.
帰還者帰国者
There are an increasing number of returnees who studied or worked abroad.
Preclude.
を妨げる
The lack of data precluded us from performing an appropriate analysis. Fuel.
を助長する活気づける
This event fueled the campaign for democracy. Outlive.
より長生きする
In general, women outlive men. Layman.
素人
The concept of entropy is generally not well understood among laymen. Exemplify.
を冷笑する
These works fully exemplify her genius. Disavow.
関係責任などを否定する
He disavowed his responsibility for the accident. Atheist.
無神論者
I'm not sure if I'm an atheist or not. Deflect.
をそらす
He tried to deflect people's attention away from his own failure. Bionic.
生態工学の
Bionic technology is rapidly advancing. Allocate.
を配分する
The city should allocate more funds for education. Commend.
を褒める推奨する
She was commended for her volunteer efforts in the community. Ablaze.
燃えて輝いて
Her eyes were ablaze with passion.
Lapse.
些細な過ち、過失、
He was not aware of his lapse in judgment then. Reminisce.
懐かしむ
I often reminisce about my younger days in Miami. Harbor.
をかくまう、隠す、
He harbored dozens of people during the war. Blink.
瞬きをする、
We blink less when looking at a computer screen. Idiosyncratic.
一個人に特有の
The pianist has an idiosyncratic playing style. Corrode.
金属などが腐食する、
This metal corrodes easily when exposed to water. Deceptive.
見かけなどが当てにならない、
This seems to be edible, but looks are deceptive. Protagonist.
主役、主人公、
The protagonist of the story is a young boy. Mediate.
を仲介する、仲裁する、
He tries to mediate the border dispute between the two countries. Flattery.
お世辞、おだて
None are more taken in by flattery than the proud. Audit.
を監査する、
This organization audits the accounts of government departments. Stature.
名声、
He is a movie director of international stature.
Coherent.
守備一貫した、
His argument was logical and coherent. Invariably.
必ず、常に、
Whenever my reason and emotion are in conflict, emotion invariably wins. Hypothetical.
家庭の、
I'll ask you a hypothetical question. Remedial.
補習の、
The teacher told them to take a remedial class. Arduous.
努力を要する、骨の折れる、
The road to the country's independence was long and arduous. Adjacent.
隣接した、
The post office is adjacent to the station. Redundant.
余分な、不要な、
With this software, redundant files are automatically deleted. Vicarious.
身代わりの、我がことのような、
I get a vicarious satisfaction from reading adventure stories. Boon.
恩恵、
This new station will be a boon to local residents. Psychic.
精神の、精神的な、
Your physical condition will affect your psychic state. Pathetic.
ひどい、情けない、
Her performance was pathetic. Municipality.
地方自治体、
Leaders of several municipalities are against the bill.
Consign.
を押し込む、しまい込む、
He consigned her photos to the wastebasket. Elevation.
高さ、海抜、
Machu Picchu is located at an elevation of about 2,400 meters. Synonymous.
同義の、同意語の、
Big is synonymous with large. Cozy.
居心地の良い、
She loved the cozy living room. Smuggle.
を密輸する、
The group tried to smuggle baby monkeys. Grumble.
不平を言う、ぶつぶつ言う、
My wife is always grumbling about something. Demoralize.
人を意気消沈させる、
The ace's injury demoralized the entire team. Insidious.
密かに進む、油断のならない、
They called attention to the insidious problems. Inhospitable.
場所が住むのに適さない、荒れ果てた、
Their ancestors settled in an inhospitable land. Enraged.
激怒した、
Many people got enraged by the newspaper's article. Freight.
運送貨物、
The company operates small boats to carry passengers and freight. Concur.
同意見である、一致する、
I concur with you on that point.
Data file. Antibiotic.
抗生物質、
Antibody.
抗体、
Antidote.
解毒剤、
Antiseptic.
防腐剤、
Antithesis.
正反対、アンチテーゼ、
Biodiversity.
生物多様性、
Biofuel.
バイオ燃料、
Biomedical.
生物医学の、
Bionics.
生態工学、
Biotechnology.
生命工学、バイオテクノロジー、
Biotic.
生命の、生物の、
Counteract.
に対抗する、を阻止する、
Counterclaim.
反対要求、反論、
Counterintuitive.
直感に反する、
Countermand.
命令などを撤回する、
Countermeasure.
対抗手段、
Decode.
暗号文などを解読する、
Destructive.
破壊的な、非建設的な、
Devalue.
通貨を切り下げる、
Deschooling.
脱学校化
Dehumanize.
から人間性を奪う、
Disaffection.
不満、不信、
Disapprove.
賛成しない、不可とする、
Disarmament.
武装解除、
Dishonesty.
不正直、不誠実、
Disillusioned.
幻滅した、
disingenuous,
率直でない、不誠実な、
disintegration,
崩壊
dismantle,
を分解する、
dispassionate,
感情に左右されない、
disproportionate,
不均衡な、
disprove,
の誤りを立証する、
distrust,
不信、
inability,
無能、無力、
inaccurate,
不正確な、
inadequate,
不十分な、
inadmissible,
認められない、容認できない、
inappropriate,
不適切な、ふさわしくない、
incompetent,
無能な、手腕のない、
inconclusive,
結論に達していない、
incredible,
信じられない、
indigestion,
消化不良、不消化、
ineffective.
効果のない、